If you're following the news right now in the crypto market, you will actually think like, what the hell is really happening in the market? Say, if this happens, what that means is the big chunk of supply for XRP is done, it's burned, or it's not in the circulating supply. The price will go up because now the calculations may not be done with the total supply coming into the market. It would be only based on the existing supply. That's for the XRP side of things. When you actually look at the entire crypto segment, especially with the Bitcoin, you actually see this. So the first question you should ask yourself is, before Bitcoin started moving up, last time they gave the thought process, it could drop to 5,000. Great. In 2023. Now, in 2023, they're giving us the idea that by 2024, the price of Bitcoin can go up to 120,000. Now, it is still at 30,000, just below that range. What do you think is actually going to happen to the price? What do you really think is coming in for us? Because the macro this week is especially going to be really crazy. Tomorrow we actually have the CPI coming in. Then the same day we actually have Bank of Canada coming out. And these are the expectations. Some of them are giving you a 25 basis point hike. And the CPI would give us the idea where US is headed towards. But yes, of course, the dollar is dropping. You're actually watching that happen right now. When you zoom in, you would see that the drop is substantially deeper. But then you would look at it and say like, there is a huge possibility that it is at a support. But what's the reality? If dollar drops, that's going to be a huge upside for crypto. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. Right now, when you look at the price action, you would see indicators are definitely suggesting you that something bullish can happen. At least on the daily, the MACD reiterates that it is trying to do something similar, which it has done again and again before. So on the same trend line support, if we actually manage to break this range, you would actually see the price action going back up. Great. Now that's a daily chart, the short-term scenario. But if you actually go back into the dollar, which we discussed now, you will see that resistance has turned into a support. But if you actually look at the holistic picture, looking for like last 15-20 years, you would observe the fact that this channel has been active from a long period of time. We've been following it at the bottom here, we've been following it at the top here, saying it's going to drop, right? And it did drop. Now look at this. If you actually happen to break below this range, that means panic is going to set in the economical side of things, where dollar is actually dropping, which actually signals a huge run up in the crypto market. But at the same time, you come here, watch Bitcoin and the crypto market, it's not doing much. It's not actually moving much to the upside. Why? Bitcoin has that negative pressure of selling on it. I've been talking about this from a few days, and that's one of the reasons why we are not watching price explosion here and there. Yeah, random coins are doing that, but not the big ones. If you actually look at the Bitcoin dominance, it's still high. When we were testing this range, I did a post suggesting I think the indicators show us that we are going to break this to the upside, and we did break that to the upside and we moved higher. That narrative is still true. But then if we actually go on a weekly chart, we are trying to weigh this in. As we discussed, it's trying to cross to the downside, and the monthly, it's trying to cross to the upside. So if you even have next 2-3 months here in the market, I would say, okay, it does look bullish on a monthly, suggesting next 2 or 3 months is going to be extremely bullish. That's one of the reasons why I go look at the daily and say, okay, if that's true, and the weekly is showing me some negativeness, we already had some negative movements. Agreed. And the daily is showing me I can actually break to the upside. But we haven't actually done that yet. We need to get a confirmation. But once you see the short-term segment here, it is trying to keep up with a new trend. But yes, it's not actually putting in a local swing high, but it is showing you on the short term, I'm trying to bounce to the upside with a normal trend. So if this happens to bounce to the upside, now we are watching a short-term micro trend evolving. But if that gets rejected here, now that's going to the downside. You'll actually see the price action doing just or almost similar to that. Now, you can look at Ether, you can look at all these different assets, but understand the narrative here in the market is still the same. Why? Because the monthly, the macro scenario, it's the same, it's not changing. And one of the biggest things which I would like to highlight here is that Ether has not closed that loop. Last time when Ether popped off, this is important, guys. It popped off, you got the monthly MACD crossing to the upside. And that was the beginning of the big run up for Ether from $200 all the way up towards 4,500. Now remember, we never bought Ether about 220. We bought it in between 85 to 222, I think. What happens? The price goes higher. We tried to sell as high as possible. But yeah, definitely we missed the top here. But we got somewhere close to 3,800, right? Similar aspect. But Ether has not yet crossed to the upside. That's where XRP gets the advantage. On the monthly, XRP is crossing to the upside right now. So if you don't really get a huge rejection here right now at the moving average, that means by the time this month closes and the next month candle opens, it is going to be extremely bullish. But what about if we drop back below this range and test 0.41? Now, let's actually remove noise out there and look at this. It does show you we had a round bottom or a double bottom. Then we went up, we're still holding on to that range. It is bullish on the monthly. Now you go on a weekly. We would really like to see what is happening. And on that front, what do you really see here? I mean, ask yourself, the price has actually rejected the resistance. Great, we came back. But the moving average is still acting as a support. Last time we did this here, we bounced off. So we are watching whether we can bounce off. If we do, that aligns with the monthly. Now, understand, yes, we are following XRP precisely on different horizon to understand the fact whether it's about to break higher. But on the same time here in the market, you do see other assets starting to move up. Some of them hits the target. What happens? It corrects back down. Some of them are starting to break higher, and especially if you look at the volume side of things, you do see market participants watching that and jumping on that. That's where the parabolic upside increases. You actually has this ability to literally go into the market, look at which of these assets are getting a lot of volume compared to the last day, last week, last month, and it is starting to break higher. You're going to make money. So if that's you, you can actually look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below, where I go through all of these assets and give you guys the right thought process on the right asset on the right time. Now, coming back into the market. Yeah, we all agree that it's not easy watching all these things happen. But keep this in mind, right now in the crypto market, if you are in altcoins, other than Ether, you're literally following this particular chart. This is where I'm more oriented towards being bullish, even on the weekly. Now, remember, for XRP, it did show you the fact that the price action is hugely bullish on the daily, but negative on the weekly. Great. But here, the altcoin market is showing you I'm turning extremely bullish on the weekly as well. So the monthly has not yet crossed to the upside. You do have some room there. That's where you do see some divergence. That's where you do watch the price action and say like, okay, we are literally showing the factor that all these are moving to the upside, except the daily is trying to bounce off. It didn't actually cross to the downside. Let's be clear here. We didn't cross to the downside. Instead, we bounced off. That shows you someone came in, bought that particular dip, and it is trying to push the price higher. Now, what exactly is happening? This is something interesting as well. As soon as you bounce off on the daily, on a positive zone of the MACD, that shows you something different is happening. Keep your eyes wide open and watch this. If you actually look at the RSI, it does give you the idea that it is trying to break higher. It is trying to move through a range which was literally acting as a resistance, and right now it's showing you I'm trying to break higher. If that does happen soon, that's going to be another great indication. Now, if you actually look at the same on a shorter horizon, we would like to see a 4-hour chart and ask the same question like, are we bullish? Are we trying to stay bullish? I'm like, it literally is staying bullish. You literally actually got a double bottom here in the price action, which got confirmed. You broke to the upside, you came back down, you retested that area, and you're trying to bounce off. So on the short term, that now becomes really important to understand. Bitcoin is slowing down, but the altcoin market, except Ether, is showing you we are about to move to the upside. So if that's to happen, XRP should move. And that's one of the reasons why when you see the daily chart, almost all the indicators are giving you the idea that XRP has a higher odds to go back to the upside. Now, you zoom in and you see that something just changed. We had all these negative volumes here, but then we are now on the upside. We just got our MACD cross to the upside. Last time we went to the upside in terms of the volume candle, we didn't actually get a cross to the upside. That was a huge story, but we didn't get a confirmation here. Right now, we are getting one at a time when this is happening. Now, why is that so important, right? You actually go back on the same daily chart to actually understand that this is an accumulation range from the support is strong and you're bouncing off from that particular range, which shows you, it's not going to be a huge rally for the time being. What you're looking at is a little bit something like this for the average market. So that means the large cap may do somewhere like 10-20%, whereas short-term assets are actually going to do big on the micro caps, on the small caps, on the nano cap side of things. So it's going to be really attractive to watch the price action on a lot of different projects, but make sure you don't actually jump onto junk projects. You want legit projects because you don't want to get stuck in a lot of them. Now, if you actually look at the breakout, the retest, and it's trying to bounce, we haven't actually broken through this resistance. So once we get that breakout, retest, and bounce, this range is going to be a great area if you are looking to buy into the market on different assets. But if you do get a rejection here without breaking that range to the upside, it would be concerning. That approach here in the price action would create panic. That is a huge possibility in the market. With that being said, I would put that argument again here. In the market, you do watch a lot of these assets. Don't just go gamble into assets where you are watching some kind of daily movement and just the price action. Make sure the market psychology as a whole is changing. If not, it's the whales creating the trades. They are making the fake volume to take your money and move out. So you remain a bag holder holding on to that particular asset. You don't want to end up like that. If you actually go look at a lot of different assets, some of them are moving right now. What you see there is big moves on the short-term horizon. But then when you actually move on to the macro, it's like, okay, it's just starting. And historically, when these kind of movements happen in the market, it shows massive opportunities. See, you look at the RSI here and you get the idea of how long the divergence has been here, how long the divergence was suggesting us that, the depth by which the price action is dropping, RSI is not dropping by that range. 1. 2. The resistance range in the RSI has been broken, retested, and bounced off. That means there is something happening which is becoming bullish. Now, it's just the starting point. And it's just one asset which is doing that. But what's the hard part here? When it's bouncing hard, we want to make sure we manage to break above this range. If not, that's a dead zone. If you get rejected here, that's a dead zone. We have actually watched assets doing that, and we've managed to move out of similar assets at the right time into the right assets, making, gains instead of big losses. You actually saw this happening. You saw the price action bouncing back to test this range, but it got rejected there. With that rejection, we moved out because, that was a loss we took. But then we actually moved into different assets at that time, which happened to go 3-4x. And we covered our loss and entered into profit and exited those assets as well. Now, when you're in the market, make sure you understand these factors. You understand which of these assets are showing you the right opportunity, and some of them you should not consider as the red flags, right? So make sure you understand that market psychology side of things. So guys, if you received value, please do hit that like and subscribe button. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.